Hi there, guys. So today's video, um, I woke up this morning with a few videos that came across my timeline. I clicked on them, watched them, um, had deep thoughts about them, especially one of them. It was quite triggering. Um, and I just started thinking because I hear a lot of times. So let me go ahead and just set this up. So watching those videos today and just thinking made me want to ask you guys a question. The question I'll just go ahead and throw out there. But I do hope that you guys continue to listen to what I'm saying because I am building to a certain place. But the question is there really a benefit to having a man in the home? Also, I could rephrase that and ask, is it very detrimental to children to not have a man in the home or be raised with some type of healthy, I'm going to say healthy, male input for children? Well, for children and family, just like for the whole unit. But let's say children. Okay. Now, I'm watching right now the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. I think it's Monsters or something like that. The Lyle and Eric Menendez story. And so, you know, hold on, give me a second because I want to get it right. I want to get I want to absolutely get what it's called. And also I would love for you guys to tell me um if you're watching this or what do you think about it. This is not just about that story, but I want to start with it, and it is called Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. Now, I'm going to say I remember when that happened. I remember when it happened, like many of you. I don't remember really getting into it. I don't remember getting into the details or whatever. They were just two guys who, Menendez, I thought they were Hispanic. Come to find out they're Cuban. So that goes to show you how much I was really paying attention to it. That had killed their mom and dad. And so, like, literally, that's all that I knew. And so, honestly, I'm glad that I'm watching it right now. I will also say I'm not finished with it. I'm still and I'm still in it. I'm still watching it. Maybe I'm on episode 3 or 4, something like that. I think I'm on 3. But anyway, I never knew. I never knew this whole part about the dad molesting them. Now, I probably should have given in my description for those who read it, I will give what do you call that? Spoiler alert, you know, in case you have not seen it. Go see it first if you want to, or what have you. But some of you may know the story already, so I'm not breaking any big news or whatever. I did not know about the dads molesting both of them. And then the one brother turning that sexual abuse onto his brother. Um, It's very, very disturbing. I really, honestly and truly, I don't watch. Y'all forgive me. My back is itching. Um, I really don't watch normally things like that, like the whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing, and all. Like, I didn't watch that. It's been so many Netflix like serial killer or killer type. I don't usually watch stuff like that, just because it's my own personal whatever. But I started watching this one, and I'm glad I did because it does help me. Now, as I said, I haven't gotten to the end of this Netflix series yet, so I don't know what ultimately the end is that they got life in prison, so that's the end. But um, you know, those things in between, that to me, because it makes me. I know they did what they did. I know what they did was horrific. Like, how could you? Like, I get it. But at the same time, I have to question the dad. Like, you were a monster too. Like, how do you molest your own children? Now, yesterday I did a video, and I dedicated my video just to the memory of, and I want to pronounce her name correctly. I believe it is pronounced Nazira Harris. This young lady was about 14 years old when she was brutally murdered. They are, I think, in the middle of sentencing the guy who did this to her. I watched some of the court proceeding, and I think he has to come back in October, which it's still September, so that's why I'm saying it's not done and over with yet. I don't know if that's going to be sentencing. Like, I don't really know the process of it yet. But at the end of the day, this man who was a serial child molester, starting with his own children, and it lasted for years. And this is what they know. I said that a little bit in my video yesterday when I was dedicating the video to her. And mind you, the video is not about her or her case or what happened. It's just my way of throwing out a remembrance of her and giving my slight way of trying to honor her death and keep her memory alive. That when people come to that video, they will hear me talking about that, whether it's 10 years from now, and remember, oh, I remember that, And that's what I wanted to do, because I feel like certain things need to be remembered. The whole say her name type. I mean, like, all of that. It needs to be remembered. So, with that being the case, this man found single moms, and even the lawyers were saying he did that for the purpose of getting close to their daughters. Now, I'm going to say also, and I said it a little bit in the video yesterday, that you never, when it's something like that, you don't know how many it's been. Because if he's this sick at whatever age he is, because I don't know how old he is, he probably was doing that since a kid, or probably doing that at least as a teenager. It's no telling how many victims this man has, but you're not going to be able to tell me that he just started that in 2022, because I think 2022 is when they were saying that a lot of the stuff began to happen, and I could have that date wrong, but anyway, we know he did that. Okay, getting close to the moms, to get close to the daughters. We know he ain't the only one that's ever done that. That is, that has been done. So as I say, I want to talk about how much men's presence really does have a good impact on the family and the children and just all that. Now, the reason that I asked that question, one of the reasons is that so often all over the internet, we see these men with the same type of mindsets with the same type of mindset. And these men often say things like, "Oh, well, there was no man in the house," or, "Oh, that's single baby mama culture, and that's baby mama culture," or whatever. And there wasn't no man around when that was happening, or whatever. Or she got their boys, and there was no man. So we hear these things, and so when I look back though, and mind you, let me throw this out. We know it's not all men. I mean, come on. We know it's not all men. We also know that, we can't stereotype this and put a cap on it. Oh, it's just black men, it's white men, it's Hispanic men. Men. I'm not even putting a color on this. We're saying men, fathers, stepfathers, like whoever was in the home, supposedly being an influence over children. Is it beneficial? Or when we look at the whole picture of just what we know and what we've seen and our history and what we've heard, is it a positive benefit to have, you got to have a man in the house for the children? That's what I want to ask. This is not about negating men. This is not about negating fathers. Fathers matter. Believe me, I believe that. Good fathers matter. But so often is the case where sadly a child first experience with abuse in the home, which is normally sexual, comes from the men in the home. Whether it's a dad, stepdad, just what older brothers, and so it makes me have to ask. It's so, man, I mean, we all have heard the stories. We have all heard the stories. It's not just Lyle and his brother Menendez, whatever. And the mom was quite passive. They said, she was unhappy. I think she was like an alcoholic pill popper or something like that. And so she was putting up with it. And at one point in the movie, it was like, oh, well, did she know that this was happening? And it gave, it gave an indication in the movie, and I don't know if that was just scripted or if that was just like put in there for dramatic purposes or not, but it gave a hint that she possibly did know. Whew, you look at movies like Precious. It's so many. You got physical abuse. You got so many stepfathers. And what's funny about it is they said statistically, I just read this, statistically, a child is much more likely to get abused by a step parent. Now, again, I'm not jumping on the fathers because I said a step parent. Comes from the moms too. A lot of stepmoms are abusive and ugly and mean and horrible to their children. So step parent is what I want to reiterate. And so you have a high rate of sexual abuse with men in the home. There's a high incident of physical abuse. Now, again, we know women can be abusive too. I mean, trust me, women can be very, very abusive. Matter of fact, again, I think they say statistically it's probably more women that are abusive. Now, there's reasons and all that behind that, and God knows I'm not trying to justify that or whatever, but um, those are the statistics. And I have absolutely read that. So I'll put that out there and I'm going to acknowledge that. Um, but the benefit is that, you would think that the dad is going to pass a skill on to the child, so the child will have a good and healthy work ethic. You would think that the majority of the dad's role would also be to love on the mom, take care of the mom, take care of the family, take the kids fishing, take the kids hunting, go to amusement parks and play games and all of these things with the children, so that the children will have those good, happy memories. But so often, and God knows there are many men who do those things, but so often it's a man sitting around being lazy, sitting around letting the woman serve him, bring him his plate, wash his clothes. Literally, he sits there on the couch, not doing much, playing video games and, maybe again, hanging out with his friends and things like that. And not really being, that example, that influence that you would expect men to be, as much as you have the mother being an example, the mother doing the cooking, doing the cleaning, and the children watching her, and the mom being the one really to enforce most of the chores. So they get that again from the mom, because you need to go wash your bowl up, or you just took a bath, you need to make sure my tub is clean, or whose turn is it to wash, to clean the toilet, all these things that moms do. You know what I'm saying? You need to get your clothes washed for school for the week. So I need you to go run that wash and dryer correctly, because usually the mom has already taught them and showed them how to do it. Make sure your school clothes are clean, washed, folded, ironed, dried, whatever, taken care of, have your stuff ready for the week, just whatever. A lot of moms are doing that, and a lot of moms do that because, hell, they just don't have time to do everything and do it all. So when children start to get old enough to start doing certain things, you know what I'm saying? You 6, 7, 8 years old, you need to put your toys in the toy box. I made sure that my son and my daughter always had toy boxes, because you're not finna have that stuff all over the room in my house. I don't, and I also, I'm one of the moms who I don't believe in, that's my room. I don't believe in that shit. If I'm paying the bills, or if you're in my house and you're not an adult, that is not your room. That's a part of my house. So I need that part of my house clean. You just sleeping in there. That's it. I don't know. Call me strict. But anyway, I don't hear those stories a lot of, my dad taught me this, or I saw my dad doing this, or I saw my dad doing that, or whatever, and as I said, of course it happens, but also there's so many more stories of, the mom being abused, and that don't even necessarily mean physically. That means just her being taken for granted a lot of times. We don't look at women being taken for granted in households as abuse, but it is. You know what I'm saying? Dads who are not good with money, dads who squander money, dads who they know, the children even know by now that dad is cheating on mom and has probably been cheating on mom. And, I've heard of stories where dads take their sons or whatever to meet the woman. Matter of fact, in my life, my dad was married when he and my mom got together. Now, the backstory behind that, I do not know. I think I've said it on here before. I think my mom had a thing for married men. Looking at her track record, it seemed to me that she had a thing for married men. What, why, and all of these type things, I don't know the details to it. And I was never able to really ask her. But I remember one of the times as a little girl, because that's the most times that I really saw my biological dad. I remember one of my earliest memories that I still remember to this day is on his side, there were 4 boys and a girl. So my oldest brother, whose name I still remember, his name was Curtis. He was in the military. He was in the army. I remember that. I remember at the time that I met him, he was 20 years old at that time. And he absolutely came over there maybe once or twice, maybe twice, to meet me and meet my mom or whatever. And, I have that memory. I remember that. I remember as a little girl him picking me up on his hip. And the reason I remember that is because he was tall. Even though I was little, I was 5, 6 years old, and right, I'm only 5'1" right now, so it ain't, I was little. You know what I'm saying? I'm 5'1". I like to say I'm 5'2". But anyway, so it just seemed like I was just way so far up in the sky, and that's why I remember him picking me up and toting me around and things like that. But yeah, it happens. You have men who take their children to the other woman and and I mean, with my brother being an adult, a grown man at that time, I don't know the impact of let's say if he was 12 or 11. You know what I'm saying? But those type things happen. Oh, got something in my eye. Those type things happen. And a lot of times there's a lot of negativity in the home. There's a lot of, mom kind of being the sacrificial scapegoat, and doing it all and keeping things together. And even when there is a man in the house, mom still has to help or show and teach the chores, show and teach integrity, show and teach how to treat people, give those examples and so forth. Life skills, life skills. So before I close, I remember some years ago I was talking to a guy, and this was a black guy, and this guy, we were having that conversation, and this dude, like, he got kind of angry, which was kind of rare because he didn't ever like get angry or whatever. But he got very, very passionate when we brought this up, and he was like, the men in my life ain't never taught me SHIT, as he said it. He was like, it was my mama, my grandmama, my aunties who taught me the tools and the things that I needed for life and how to survive in life. And he was like, they taught me how to be a man. Now, those were his words, and I had never heard a man say a woman taught him how to be a man, but that is exactly what he said. It was those women in his life who taught him how to be a man, how to be a good person, how to treat women, it came from women. And I think that's why I remember it so well, is because I had never heard anyone say anything like that, because what you hear out in society, woman can't teach a boy how to be a man. You hear that all the time. And I can agree with that somewhat, because I couldn't teach my son how to be a man, but I taught my son how to be a good person. I taught my son very specifically to always respect women, very specifically. I taught my son manners. I taught my son, respect. I taught my son Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I taught my son how to be a good person to people. You know what I'm saying? I didn't isolate, oh, you do this for women, you do that. No, you treat everybody good. You treat everybody fair. You know what I'm saying? You protect those who can't protect themselves and things like that. So I gave those basic life skills. No, I can't teach him how to be a man, but here's the thing. Those things encompass being a man. I think very, very toxically, we are in a society where because I just made that video too, where we teach little boys and have taught little boys for so long to be emotionless. We have taught little boys that crying is bad. We have taught little boys how to be literally desensitized. And I don't know. I know we're not doing it on purpose. I know we're just doing it out of habit and because that's what we think we should be doing. But do you understand that a person that is void of emotion and a person who has had their emotions and so forth suppressed to the fact that they don't know how to show them, which is a lot of men in society right now, is literally called a sociopath? Do y'all realize that? It's literally a name for that. That's not a good thing to be void of emotions. It's not a good thing to be so selfish and so centered that you can only think about yourself, your needs, your wants. And kind of averagely in society, that's what we see of men. Men are very, very selfish. Now, men and women, period, are self-centered beings. But many times it's going to be a woman in a relationship that is going to be a lot more giving, a lot more nurturing, a lot more teaching, a lot like she's going to literally give practically all of herself, way more so than a man will. Men are very willing to give you sex. But I don't know too much more else because, like I'm saying, they don't give you emotion. They give you violence, and again, this is not about triggering, this is not about bashing men. It's just a societal truth. And if I'm wrong, please leave me a respectable comment in the comments section and we can discuss it. But I'm trying to be as truthful and honest as I can. And like I said, if I'm wrong, let me know. But men, because even in families, even in the household and so forth, there's not a lot of men who are giving their all, Now, I mean, of course, there are men who have paid all the bills and all that kind of stuff. But let me say this also. I do not believe that we are in a time, unless the man is rich, and I mean rich. I don't think we're in a time financially where it's good or healthy for any one person to be trying to foot all the bills, whether it's a man or a woman. Like I said, unless they're rich and they can do it and they want to do it, okay, well then that's something different. But right now, the way the economy is, the way the inflation, you need a two household income. Now, how that is split up or how that is divided up or however you want to do that, I think that is between the couple. But we already know, we've learned, and we understand, we should at this point, that 50-50 is not equal. We understand that because women almost always are the ones who is giving more time, more effort, just more in the home setting. When you start talking about bills, I mean, okay, yeah, we can split the bills, but still, what about if we're going to do a 50-50 relationship, it's supposed to be 50-50 down the whole thing, right? That means chores, that means errands, that means helping with the kids, that means when someone gets sick, because normally, even let's take the instance of a child being sick in the home. Usually it's the mom taking care of that child. Of course, when the dad is sick, mom is taking care of, the husband or whatever. And what's funny about it is there's a lot of men. I'm coming to a close, but there's a lot of men who accuse single moms of, you treating your son like your husband, you always putting your children first. Your husband should be first, and all these type things. Let me say something about that. I want to say something about that because I have a son. I have two children who are 15 years apart. That matters. Now, there are times, and I've been married and in between marriage and things like that. But when I was pregnant with my daughter, mind you, as I'm saying, my son was like 15 years old, going into being 16, I guess. Or it could have been 14 and then he turned 15 when she was born or something like that. I can't remember. But either way, I was between relationships at that time. Matter of fact, I was in between relationships with my daughter's father, who I literally had to run from at least 2 or 3 times in that relationship. It was just a really bad experience for me. And so my son was there. I had to go to work. I was still working and everything. Bills weren't going to pay themselves. I was still working. And it was my son who was there when I came home to give me a cold glass of water and, help me sit down in my recliner and put my feet up and, just be kind and, Mommy, you want something to eat or, want me to fix you a plate or whatever, or go to the store and bring me some snacks and bring me my peanut M&Ms or whatever, like I love, It was my son who did those things. My son was so very helpful and so very kind and sweet. And even after I'm not gonna lie, he was upset when I was, the whole situation because he didn't like my daughter's father. And that's one of those men things. I couldn't get it. I didn't understand why. I just figured it's just a man coming in my life and he just don't like, no, he saw in a way that I didn't see. And he was absolutely right about it all. Me and my son had a very, very open relationship, and I talked to him about my daughter's father and so forth. And honestly and truly, I really had to pull it out of him what it was that you don't like, or what, because he never came at him like he didn't like him. Like my son was so very respectful to him. And it was actually him that would be picking on my son, which was another reason why I had to get away from him, because when it came down to him or my son, believe me, it was going to be my son, and the way that he was picking at my son and the things that he was doing to my son, somebody was going to get hurt. And then the things that he was doing to me. And I'm watching my son as a teenage young man watching this and beginning to want to defend me more, because my son was quiet for a long time. Now, there was also no physical, like it wasn't no physical violence, like he didn't hit me and none of this kind of stuff. But it was a lot of other emotional, psychological mind games, mind tricks, just being an ass, just being a narcissist ass. And so I eventually saw, as my son was getting older and older and older, that this is not going to work, because there were a couple of times when I had to literally keep my son off of him. Like literally. We are in now for Houston, it didn't get freezing cold like, how it is where I am now. But I remember a very cold night, and this dude was just picking with my son, just doing stuff, saying stuff to him, and knowing that he's aggravating my son and smiling at my son and blowing kisses at him and shit. I mean, just to be an asshole. You know what I'm saying? And he would do things to get my son upset. You know what I'm saying? And I really think he would talk to me in a way when my son was around to try to get my son riled up, because he didn't always talk to me like that. So it was like obvious that you just picking on him. He didn't want him there. He wanted my son to go and live with his dad, which was crazy because my son always lived with me. Like, just because you're here, why should I get rid of my son? You know what I'm saying? And I think it's because my son was not going to let him talk to me any kind of way or treat me any kind of way, or, just be an ass to me. You know, he didn't like it, and he made it known that he didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? He never confronted him, never got in his face. He never tried to buck up against him or anything like that. Only when he was either picking at him or just obviously doing things to me. So this one cold night in Houston, I literally had to try to get my son, push my son outside to cool off, because he really needed it. It was freezing out there, but he needed to cool off because my son was about to kick his, you know what I'm saying? And very well warranted. And it was really only my son's respect of me that I was able to keep him off, because my son was way up here. Like I said, I'm 5'1". Literally, I couldn't hold my son off of him, and he was even bigger than my son. So I certainly couldn't have held him off. But it was my son's love for me and my son's respect for me, and just the way that I raised my son, that I was able to get him out of the house and get him to calm down and cool down and calm the situation. But at the end of the day, I knew that this was something I was not going to be able to do. And so that was a major reason why I got away from this dude, because I'm like, you see, somebody gonna wind up on a lot. Either him or me doing something to him, because at the end of the day, I wasn't going to let him do it. He wasn't going to be able to do nothing to my son like that. It was going to be me and my son against him, because yeah, it just was. So I had to get away, and I did, and I got out of that situation and everything. And all these years later, the most recent contact that my daughter and I had any contact with him was, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years ago at this point, and he's still an asshole. He's still an ass. He's still, and what makes it worse with all of it is the fact that he tells me he don't remember any of that. All of the things that he did, all of the stuff that he did, and all these different instances and things that traumatized me, I don't remember none of that. That's literally what he told me. I don't remember any of that. I'm like, wow. Seriously. But yeah, same butthole. And it's not because he don't remember. It was just the things that he was doing, the things that he was trying to begin to do to my daughter, to psychologically, start messing with her. And my daughter literally came to me like, Mom, yeah, I don't like him. Like, basically F him. You know what I'm saying? I don't like him. I don't want to be around him. Now, mind you, my daughter is a lot more outspoken than my son. Like my son, like I said before, my son was very passive, didn't get in his face and all this stuff. My daughter's pretty much exact opposite. My daughter finna let you know now she will be respectful, but my daughter ain't gonna just sit around and let you just bump your gums and talk. Yeah, she's completely different. So if the tables had been turned, I don't know how that would have turned out. I don't know how that would have turned out with my daughter being the oldest. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, my question, as I close, I was just giving you guys some background. I wasn't just rambling or whatever. I was putting myself out there. Like I said, I probably need to, in these videos, start putting myself out there a little bit more, so you guys can know me more, know my story more, and things like that. And you can feel free to share your examples with me, hopefully, because I'm sharing things with you guys. But as I come to a close, the basic question is, are children and families better off with men in the homes? Or whether they have to or not, can women do an okay job? Like, is it vital and mandatory that a man be there in the home to, the kid is not going to know how to be a man unless a man is there? I don't see a lot of difference in what a man can teach a kid than what a woman can teach. Yeah, we don't have the experience. No, I don't have the experience. I'll never be a black man. So I knew that. And those are the things I would sit and talk to my son about. Like, son, I know I can't teach you how to be a man. Which is also some of what I was telling you guys yesterday in the video about how people would always tell me, oh, that boy need a man. You need to get a man in that boy's life. This is why I went and did that, because I actually believe that. But when it actually came down to it, and when I was trying to get these men in my life, or trying to get them in my life for what I thought I needed, to help raise my son, they didn't do anything. Like, there was no influence. There was no nothing. They just wanted to smash the mom. That's what I said yesterday. Like, there was no good influence. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it, yeah, my son learned by trial and error. He just learned by the principles and things that I taught him on how to just be a good person. You know what I'm saying? Has he made mistakes? Heck yeah. Did I make mistakes raising him and grow? Heck yeah. Absolutely. Will he make mistakes with his baby mom and his two sons that he have right now? Probably so. Probably so. But one of the things that I have told my son, though, is that the important part is to be there. That is the important part. Whether you have the money, whether you have the whatever, the life skill, the whatever, to be a successful dad, in my opinion, one of the main things is to be there. And to be there for her, and to be there for your boys. That is the main thing. And to do your best in whatever it is that they need, and your household needs, or whatever. So he's been pretty stable. He really has. He's been stable. He's been in the home. He is very active with the boys. I see them, like, they post pictures and stuff on Facebook about places that they go, things that they do, and, I'm sure it's not a perfect relationship. He told me, a few instances of, trouble or whatever that they have, or, some whatever you call it, some doubts and things that he has, but he's there. He's there. His girlfriend knows as well that I am here. If you need to talk to me, if you need to call me, if you need some advice, I'm here. So I've extended the olive branch, you know what I'm saying? So, but you guys let me know. I know I've talked a lot, but like I said, I just wanted you guys to get a full understanding of me, of my question, of why I'm asking the question, the fact that I know I ain't perfect or whatever. I made plenty of mistakes, and I just want to share that. So let me know if you guys think that it is more beneficial, or has it been more beneficial in your life to have any kind of man, some kind of man, stepdad, uncle, but like whatever, whoever was that major influence, or was it, I guess what I'm asking, is it vital, or is it absolutely necessary that a man be there? And I'm not trying to negate a man being in the home, because at the end of the day, I feel like the masculine and the feminine balances itself out when there is a man and woman in the house. So I'm not trying to make this video to say, like, oh, I think men are really needed, because I think they are needed. But my question is, to what extent? Like, are children absolutely going to be completely crippled in life if there is no man. Now, I know that there are a lot of different things where, like, let's say for a little girl, yeah, a girl she does need to see a man in the home and be able to have that fulfillment of not having daddy issues and going out looking for a daddy. Yeah, that's vital. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that goes on in homes with girls with dads that make them absolutely hate men and don't even want to be around a man and have a very negative outlook because of the man that they were around. And hopefully you guys understand completely what I'm saying. But you guys, thank you so much for listening. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit all notifications so that you know when I upload new videos. You guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please share your story with me. Until the next video, see you next time.